There's a certain kind of silence that follows a phone call you wish had never come. For me, it was my sister's voice, the one that used to sound warm and familiar, now coded in desperation. She didn't ask how I was, didn't ask about work, didn't ask if I'd eaten. She just sighed and said, "I hate to bother you, but can you send me some money?" That's how every conversation started. Not with love, not with laughter, just with need. And every time I told myself it was fine. She's family, after all. That's what family does, right? We help each other. But over time, those calls became less about emergencies and more about expectations. Birthdays, bills, even nights out all somehow became my responsibility. At first, I didn't mind. I told myself she'd do the same for me. I convinced myself this was what love looked like, giving until it hurts. But one night, as I stared at my empty bank account and an even emptier inbox, no thank you, no how are you, I realized something. I wasn't her sister anymore. I was her safety net, her wallet, her last resort. And it broke me in a way I can't fully explain. That was the night everything changed. The night I finally asked myself, if love only comes with a price tag, was it ever really love? It started small. A few dollars here, a quick transfer there. She always had a reason. Her rent was late, her car broke down, or she just needed to get through the week. Each story tugged at my heart. I remembered the nights we shared growing up, when she'd sneak into my room after a fight with our parents, crying until she fell asleep beside me. I couldn't turn her away now. Not when she said she needed me. But as the months passed, the pattern became clear. Every call came with the same tone, sweet at first, then hesitant, then desperate. "You're the only one I can ask," she'd say. And those words, those 5 little words, always got me. They made me feel needed, important, even loved, until they didn't. I started noticing the gaps between her calls. Weeks of silence, then out of nowhere, my phone would light up. I'd smile at first, thinking maybe she just wanted to talk. But the moment I answered, I'd hear that familiar pause, that awkward silence before the request. My stomach would drop, and I'd already know what was coming. "Could you help me out just this one time?" she'd ask. But one time became every time. And every time I told myself it was okay. That's what good sisters do, right? They show up no matter what, even when it hurts, even when it drains them. But one evening, after I sent her another transfer I couldn't afford, I looked at my reflection in the dark screen of my phone and saw someone I didn't recognize. Someone tired, used, and quietly breaking. I realized I wasn't being kind anymore. I was being taken for granted. And somehow that hurt more than being forgotten. It happened on a rainy Thursday evening. I was coming home from work, soaked and exhausted, my wallet nearly empty from paying bills and groceries. My phone buzzed again, her name flashing across the screen. I hesitated, knowing exactly what was waiting on the other end. Still, I answered. Old habits die hard. Her voice was soft at first, almost trembling. "Hey, are you busy?" she asked. I could already feel my chest tighten. I tried to sound normal, asking how she'd been, but she skipped right past it, straight to the point. Another crisis, another request. "I really hate asking," she said, "but I need $300 for rent. They're threatening to kick me out." I paused. I didn't even have that much left myself. My rent was due too, and payday was still a week away. For the first time, I said, "I can't." The silence that followed felt heavier than the rain outside. Then came the sigh. Sharp, cold. Wow, I guess I know who I can't count on anymore. Her words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were true, but because of how easily she said them. No hesitation, no gratitude, no love, just guilt. I hung up before I could say anything else, staring at the blank screen as tears mixed with the rain on my cheeks. That night, I sat in the dark and scrolled through our old messages. Every single one started the same way. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Never once did she ask, "How are you doing?" Never once did she call just to say she missed me. I realized I'd become a transaction, not a person. The next morning, she texted again. Forget it. I'll figure it out myself. I didn't reply. Not out of anger, but out of heartbreak. Because deep down, I already knew. I'd lost her long before that call. Not to death, not to distance, but to the idea that love only existed when money did. Weeks passed before I heard from her again. I told myself I wouldn't answer when she called, but when her name appeared on my screen, my heart betrayed me. I picked up. Her tone was different this time. Not desperate, but angry. So, you've changed, huh? You've got money for everyone but me. I froze. The truth was, I hadn't helped anyone else. I was barely keeping myself afloat. But her words twisted everything, turning my choice into betrayal. I took a deep breath and said softly, I'm not your bank. I'm your sister. That set her off. Sister, she laughed bitterly. A sister doesn't turn her back when family needs her. Her voice rose, sharp and furious, filling the silence between us. For a moment, I almost gave in, almost sent the money just to make it stop. But something inside me finally broke. I asked, when was the last time you called me just to talk? Do you even remember my birthday? My struggles? You only call when you want something. The silence on the line was deafening. For a second, I thought she might apologize. But instead she muttered, You've changed, and hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at the phone, my hands trembling. The words stung, not because they were true, but because of how far apart we drifted. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being her sister and became her lifeline, one she only touched when she was drowning. That night, I wrote her a message I never sent. It said, I love you, but I can't keep breaking myself to fix you. I deleted it before hitting send because I knew she wouldn't understand. Not yet, but it felt like closure, even if it came wrapped in pain. For the first time, I realized love isn't proven by how much you give. Sometimes it's proven by how much you finally stop giving. After that call, the silence was louder than anything she'd ever said. Days turned into weeks, and my phone stayed quiet. No missed calls, no messages, not even a simple hi. At first, the quiet hurt. It felt like punishment for standing up for myself. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped, hoping it was her. It never was. But as the days stretched on, that silence began to change. What once felt heavy started to feel like peace. For the first time in years, I didn't have to flinch when my phone rang. I didn't have to explain where my money went or justify why I was tired. The space she left behind slowly became something sacred, a place where I could finally breathe. Still, I missed her. I missed the sister she used to be, the one who shared secrets and dreams instead of debts. I'd scroll through old photos of us, smiling in simpler times, and wonder where it all went wrong. Was it me? Had I made her feel small or unloved? The guilt lingered, quiet but sharp. Then one night, I got a text from an unknown number. It was her. Just one sentence. I hope you're happy without me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time. I wanted to say, I'm not happy without you. I'm just trying to survive. But I knew sending that would pull me right back into the cycle I'd fought to escape. So I put the phone down and whispered it instead to the empty room. That silence taught me something I never expected. That love without respect isn't love at all. It's a transaction dressed as care. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for both of you is to walk away from it. In the quiet that followed, I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt free. And for the first time, I started learning how to love myself without needing anyone's permission. It had been months since we last spoke. I'd almost accepted that the silence was forever when one evening my phone lit up with her name. My heart skipped, part fear, part hope. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen, unsure if I should answer. But curiosity won, and I swiped to pick up. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Hey, she said quietly, almost uncertain. I didn't know if you'd still pick up. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened, all those memories flooding back. The fights, the guilt, the heartbreak. Finally, I managed, I'm here. She hesitated before speaking again. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. The words hit harder than I expected. For years, I had imagined that apology, what it might sound like, how it might feel. But now that it was here, I didn't feel triumph or vindication. I just felt tired. For what? I asked gently. For making you feel like you only mattered when I needed something, she said. Her voice trembled, and I could tell she was crying. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you. I didn't know any other way to ask for help. I closed my eyes, letting her words sink in. For a moment, I was back in our childhood. Two sisters sharing everything before money or pride got in the way. Part of me wanted to stay angry to protect the fragile peace I had built. But another part of me, the part that still loved her, simply whispered, I forgive you. There was silence, soft, healing silence. Then she exhaled shakily. Thank you, she said. I'm trying to change. I just wanted you to know that. We didn't talk for long. There was no dramatic reunion, no promises of forever. But when I hung up, I felt something lift from my chest. The resentment that had weighed me down for so long finally began to fade. That night, I sat in bed thinking about how love can break us, and yet somehow it also finds ways to rebuild us. Her apology didn't erase the past, but it gave both of us a chance to start again. Maybe not as the sisters we once were, but as two people finally learning what love should look like. Honest, equal, and free from debt. After that call, something inside me shifted. The air felt lighter, my chest less tight. It wasn't that everything was suddenly perfect. The scars were still there, but they didn't ache the way they used to. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it gave me permission to stop living inside it. In the following weeks, I started noticing small changes in myself. I laughed more easily. I stopped checking my phone out of habit. I began spending time with people who didn't see me as a resource, but as a person. Friends who cared about how I was, not what I could give. Slowly, the emptiness that had followed me for years began to fade. One morning, while cleaning out an old drawer, I found a stack of transfer receipts. Reminders of all the times I'd tried to buy love, to earn worth through generosity. I stared at them for a long time, then smiled softly and tore them in half. They weren't symbols of weakness anymore. They were proof of how far I'd come. A few days later, my sister called again. This time, her voice sounded different, steady, calm. She told me she had found a job, was attending therapy, and was learning to handle her finances. I wanted you to know, she said, I'm doing better. Not because of what you gave me, but because of what you taught me. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Tears welled up as I realized this was the closure I never thought I'd get. We didn't need to rewrite our past. We were finally writing a new chapter. When we hung up, I didn't feel drained. I felt proud. Proud of her for growing, proud of me for letting go, and proud of us for finding our way back. Not as giver and taker, but as sisters. That night, I sat by the window with a cup of tea, the city lights flickering like quiet reminders of everything I'd survived. Healing, I realized, isn't about forgetting the people who hurt you. It's about remembering them without pain, about seeing the lesson instead of the loss. I whispered a quiet thank you to the universe, to her, to myself, because sometimes the people who break us are also the ones who teach us how to rebuild stronger. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to call. I was finally at peace, whole, free, and enough.